Hello everybody and welcome to today's session. My name is Lydia Finnegan and I am an Executive Director at Goldman Sachs and a very proud Brummie myself. I sit in our corporate engagement team and we work on the firm's philanthropic initiatives, including a programme called 10,000 Small Businesses, which helps entrepreneurs in the UK create jobs and economic opportunity by providing access to education, capital, and business support services. Over the past decade, the firm has partnered with Aston University as part of our 10,000 Small Businesses UK programme, with businesses across the country and the wider West Midlands making up a large part of our alumni mix. Over 300 small businesses from Birmingham and the wider West Midlands have participated in our programme, and 30% of our alumni in the West Midlands are women. We have recently opened a new office in Birmingham, showcasing our commitment to the region, and I'm very excited to be joined by some of our Birmingham alumni today to talk about tech and digital innovation. I will let the panelists introduce themselves, but I would firstly like to welcome Guy McAvoy, CEO of GuyCat Solutions Limited, a transformative specialist in custom e-learning development. I would also like to welcome Kavita Parmar, co-founder of Word360, a provider of outstanding and reliable language services. And last but not least, I would like to welcome Brian Tilt from Compact Fork Truck Limited, which is a leading supplier of material handling equipment in the heart of the Midlands. So to all of you, thank you ever so much for joining us today. I'd like to start by asking each of you to provide a brief introduction to yourself and your business. And Brian, shall we start with you?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay. Hi, my name is Brian Tilt. I'm the director and owner of a company called Compact Fork Trucks Limited. We are based in the heart of Black Country in Dudley. We are a forklift truck company. We supply materials handling equipment throughout the UK, but we're very locally based within the West Midlands area. We've been in business for 20 years. We employ just over 38 people, and we currently are enjoying a growth period. And obviously I've been on the Goldman Sachs 10K SB course, and I completed that just before the pandemic hit us. So we went into the pandemic with our business growth plans. Thank you.
Amazing, very good timing.
Yeah, I knew.
And Kavita, should we go to you next?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, my name is Kavita. Very happy to be here today. Our business, as you mentioned, we are an interpreting and translation company. We've been around for about 28 years now. Of those years, I have been the owner of for the last 8 years. So we bought it back in 2014, and we really have focused on digital adoption as a way of transforming and elevating the business to take it to a new level. In terms of our market verticals, we focus very heavily on the healthcare and social care sector, primarily working with the NHS, for which we are the largest provider in the Midlands, but we have a national and global footprint across some of our range of services, with our global network of over 9,000 linguists, and we have about 30 in-house staff working both in technology as well as on our operational side. In terms of cohort, I think I was cohort 7, if I remember correctly, so that's a good couple of years ago. I don't know what number you're on now, but it does seem like a fair number of years ago now, but yeah, an invaluable course to have been on, and yeah, really grateful to be here. Thank you.
That's great. We're now on our 15th cohort, so
halfway through.
Yeah. And Guy, should we go to you next?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Guy McAvoy. So I'm the founder of GuyCat. We're an end-to-end e-learning agency, so we take stuff that might have been, a one-time taught in a classroom, only corporate stuff, so everything we do business to business, and we put it online. So we do both the platform and the content. We are based in Birmingham, actually a stone throw away from Aston University. I can see out the window behind myself. We also have an office in Tampa in Florida. We're about 40 people. I did the program, I think cohort 6, so Kavita, I think it was a little bit ahead of you. We did it in about 2014. So a good few years ago, and it kind of coincides from when GuyCat went from being a little bit of a hobby job for me to really beginning to scale up at a fair pace. And I don't think it's coincidental that those two things happened in parallel.
That's great. Thank you all for those introductions. I think firstly, I want to talk about why we are all here today, which is Birmingham. So as you know, as a firm, we're really proud to have recently opened a GS office in Birmingham. Having grown up in Birmingham, I never thought I would see the day where I would be able to, go from my London job back to Birmingham. So it's really nice to be able to be here and talk about Birmingham. We know that there's a super vibrant business community in Birmingham, but what we wanted to hear from you is what does make Birmingham such a great city to do business in, and in particular for small businesses. Guy, I will go to you first.
Get myself on mute. Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the big attractions is the universities. So for me, our recruitment strategy is very much, we take a lot of either new graduates or people making their first job change. So for new graduates, look, we've got actually 4 or 5 really decent higher education kind of institutes within easy commutable distance. But even where we're, actually recruiting, say, people like yourself, Lydia, who are from Birmingham and have maybe gone to university elsewhere, the draw for Brum for that demographic is very much, it's a great place to live. You can have many of the opportunities that you can have working in London at a much cheaper price of living. So we find we're able to get a lot of graduate talent, the same caliber that we might be able to get to in London, but offer them a little bit of a better lifestyle. So that's, for me, one of the big things about being here.
Thank you. Brian?
Hi, yeah. I mean, we've got a little bit more of a traditional type business. We're a forklift truck company. It's great for us that we're in the centre of the country. Firstly, we've got great access to road, rail, airports. Most of my people are obviously out on the road. We've got sales people, we've got service engineers. So they're not always in the office, so they're out and about a lot. Also because, the Black Country is very industrial. So that's great in terms of we've got lots of clients around the Black Country, but also I think there's a good access to some traditional skill sets because it's always been the Black Country, manufacturing, etc. And really that's what we do. We fix things, we repair things. So it's quite important that we've got the access to that skill set. Okay.
Thanks, Brian. Kavita?
I think the clue is in what we do, really. We provide languages, and no other place other than Birmingham is as diverse, apart from London. We look at last year, we delivered over 157 languages in Birmingham alone with locally sourced people. So it just reflects what a multicultural and diverse community we live in, which is fantastic. It's great because, we're upskilling the local community. We're looking at new communities that are coming in. And for us, in terms of our recruitment and in terms of what makes Birmingham great for our business is the fact that we have such a great cohort of language specialists in the region. And when I talk about language, I don't talk about sort of Spanish, German and French. I'm talking about sort of the rarer languages, like your Twees and your Aroma or your Igbos that you may never have heard of. But businesses in the region now are globalizing. And so they're looking for companies who can support them with languages to be able to globalize. And we're glad to be able to be part of that journey because we can use local people to support businesses to globalize. So local businesses benefiting from local people, really.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think all of you have touched on such different areas of attraction, and it's really lovely to hear. So for us, in our firm and our office, one of our biggest divisions in Birmingham is our engineering division, where our engineers are constantly adopting new technologies to disrupt and ultimately enhance our business and our client offerings. You all lead very different businesses, but you all utilize technology to maximize growth and efficiency every day. I'd really like to hear, what are some of the key ways you have utilized new technologies in your business, and how has that differentiated you from your competitors? Kavita, I'll go back to you firstly.
For me, having technology and using and adopting technology is a game changer in our business. If we cast our mind back to sort of 5-6 years ago, everything was very manual. We had linguists, interpreters and translators who would actually go on site, go on location to be able to deliver interpreting services, or everything would be done by secure email, and it was very manual. And so what we've done is we've automated it, pretty much with kind of embracing that shift change in the industry as a whole, in terms of things like using Google Translate and things. We wanted to make sure that we were creating a more specialist service where we were able to retain the quality and also using the manpower that we had within our network. So our technology was really to design remote delivery of language. So we invested in machine learning. We invested in delivering remote telephone and video interpreting services. So what that meant is that all of our services could enable our interpreters and our translators to get work from anywhere in the world. So it was more of a case of putting that all into one engine, retaining that skill and that quality, and then pump that out to our clients, in an efficient and effective manner.
Thank you. Guy?
Yeah, I think the technology for us, as what was a small startup, if you think over the last kind of 10 years, has allowed us to get kind of enterprise grade behaviors at quite reasonable costs nowadays. So I think in terms of things that I would have struggled with when I started with, like my accounting system, like our HR systems, actually, the cloud technology, even things like Google Enterprise allow a plucky small startup in Birmingham to, go toe to toe with the much bigger players. So we've adopted all of that. Our reason for being actually is to encourage other organisations to use technology to move towards digitisation. So I feel that we're very lucky to, be living in this time with the opportunities that digitisation opens up, and hopefully we've been able to take advantage of ourselves, and hopefully we're giving a nudge for our clients to take advantage of some of that too.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And Brian, I am so intrigued to hear your answer to this, because what you do, is very physical, and I'm sure that technology has benefited you in many ways, but it would be really, really great to hear from your perspective and your business specifically.
And I was brought up on an abacus, so my sort of dealing with technology. But yeah, we've got lots of technology that we use within the business, and the number one that's made a real difference to our growth is we use a CRM system for our sales force, and it's called HubSpot, so it's cloud-based, and there's a lot of information we've gained over the years on HubSpot. It's like any other system, it's only as good as the information you put in, but if you put the right information, and we've seen by using that, a vast increase in our growth as a business, and the salespeople seem to have really bought into it, and it really works for them. And you can use that system from your laptop on a desk, or you can even use it from your mobile phone if you have to pull over in a lay-by and send somebody some information or whatever. So it's really good and really mobile. And obviously during the pandemic, you could work from home using that system, which was great. Then we go on to the service side of the business. We have a a system called Service Genie, which runs all the engineers and takes on the customer's breakdowns and when the services are due and if they do an inspection on that machine. And that in turn, that Service Genie will send out jobs to our engineers on PDAs. So they'll have a PDA on their mobile and the job will be dispatched to the engineer on his PDA. We'll decide who we send the job to because we've got a great big television in the office, which the guys are all on trackers. So we know where every engineer is within the Midlands area. So that works really well as well. And, you know, even simple things like we've got WhatsApp groups, which obviously is free of charge. You can send information to each other and what have you and keep people updated on things. That works well as well. And I think during the pandemic as well, we looked at things because people were at home. So we signed up to do a lot of online training so people could go online and upskill themselves. And that was great and also good to keep them engaged in the business because that was a major problem for us all, really, I think, to try and keep everybody on board. And, you know, obviously as well, during the pandemic, we sort of had a look at things and we also had a few people work from home. So we had to look at new things like Zoom calls and things like that. So we Starleaf, we bought into a lot of different things that we're now using daily, and it's just become a habit, you know. So you know, habit becomes success, I think. So yeah, you have to find out what works and keep using it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And Brian, interested to know, you've obviously pivoted, you know, throughout the pandemic from a technology perspective. What are your competitors doing, and have you got certain competitors that you don't think made use of technology and digitization in a way that you think has held them back?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And hopefully not too many of them are listening to this when it goes out live. But yeah, without doubt, and I don't think they've moved forwards. And, you know, I'm quite a traditional sort of guy, you know, I've been around in the industry for a long time. But I now realise how important it is to my business and how efficient it can make us. And, you know, I think we all learned during the pandemic that perhaps we don't always have to make that journey. And perhaps we don't need to get in that car or that vehicle. So anything you can do to make your journeys and your traveling time efficient, and, you know, obviously it's going to save you costs, but also it gives you a lot less stress as well, doesn't it? Who wants to be stuck in the traffic, you know,
totally
at 5 ways?
Totally agree.
You don't need to be there. Yeah. So
I totally agree. Yeah, that's so interesting. And Guy and Kavita, I don't know, you know, in your respective industries, whether you've noticed, you know, in terms of the competition and the rest of the market, whether, you know, digitalization and technology innovation has put you in front of your competitors, and if that's a key kind of measure for success.
I mean, I think from our point of view, you know, we're in the digital field. So if we were, you know, I know all our competitors are looking at technology and innovation daily. So for us, if we weren't ourselves, you know, we'd be smoke. So I think I happen to be in an industry where everyone is thinking every single day about the opportunity for digitization. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The same with us as well. We're in a very competitive marketplace. And so it's not so much a case of being the market leaders, but it is about continually innovating and not just stopping with what we've done so far. It's looking at the next new idea and making sure that we are using technology to our advantage to evolve, as opposed to just stagnating.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's about being innovative, and that's what we're doing, you know, in our firm with our engineering division in Birmingham, right? It's adapting to what's happening. It's a very fast-paced environment, and I guess that what you're saying is you're all doing the same, and being able to adapt is really the key differentiator there. So I know that we've talked a little bit about the pandemic already, but I would really like to hear from you all. You know, the last 18 months have posed incredible incredible challenges for business leaders, but have also presented new opportunities as well. What have been your key experiences of the pandemic? And it would be really interesting to hear, how the pandemic specifically accelerated your use of technology and enabled growth. I know, Brian, you've already touched on how the pandemic did accelerate your use of technology, but you mentioned it's been a growth opportunity for you. I'd love to hear more about your pandemic experience and also, the growth that you've seen from that.
Well, as well as using as much technology as we could do to keep in touch with each other and to keep journeys down and what have you, obviously for myself, the pandemic was a growth period because we deal with logistics people and transport people and 3PLs. So during the pandemic, when everybody was at home, we still had to keep the business going. So we still had engineers out there every day, making sure that there was a pallet put on a wagon that was delivering food somewhere, or perhaps all you guys working from home was ordering parcels online and having them delivered to your house. So our business was extremely busy. So fortunately, it meant we had a very robust business model. But since then, obviously, the marketplace anyway has grown because people have got it. Their habit has become to order things online. So because of the industry we're in, we're finding our business is growing because of the pandemic, because now it's just, basically a habit to order a parcel online. And we've also diversified slightly. We've got involved with electric vehicles and last mile delivery. So we're now approaching some of the transport companies about supplying an electric vehicle, which would deliver their parcels. So, and it's the same technology as a forklift truck. So we don't need, different skill sets. We can just transfer that skill set onto an electric vehicle.
That's great. Thank you, Brian. And you're welcome, because I happened to be one of those parcel purchasers throughout the pandemic. So I am glad it has benefited. I am very glad it has benefited you in some way, because it did not benefit my my wallet at all.
I think it was solely down to you.
I'll take it. Guy?
Yeah, look, the pandemic was a tale of not two halves, but 2 points of time. So when it first kicked off, we had frankly a horrible time. I just hired a ton of people. I think probably similar in every industry, right? Finance directors everywhere, just nobody knew what was coming. So I got the impression spending had just been frozen. So deals we were convinced were in the bag, suddenly I'm getting phone calls and saying, we're not moving forward with that. We can't sign that now. Now I've committed to take these people on, and some of our clients were airlines, some were in the hotel industry, and actually, they've gone to the wall since. So there's been, we've lost some dear clients, and it's been very difficult that March, April time last year. And I had some sleepless nights, I'll be honest, I really did. But then, and Brian touched on it, suddenly what happened was people were at home, and people in Brian's industry are suddenly saying, well, we can use online learning. Well, that's my game. And suddenly the phone started ringing, and all the business that we lost, we've more than recovered. And I think, everything we've been talking about today, showing there's a genie out the bottle in new ways of working, and that because we're the type of company that facilitates a little bit of that, the second half, the pandemic has just been a real growth enabler for us. It's been an incredibly exciting time, with all the challenges of people working remotely and all that goes on with it. But it's been an incredible period of history to live through.
That's great to hear. Kavita?
Yes, I think ours is an interesting one because we supply to government and to the NHS. Obviously, they were impacted quite heavily with the pandemic, and they were the first ones to cancel down all their appointments, for all their clinics to shut, and there was just a groundswell of need for digital transformation. So ours was quite interesting in that we didn't have a choice. We had to pivot our business to deliver everything remotely, because that's what staff, clinicians needed. And so ours wasn't so much the fact that we had to change our technology, because that technology already existed. It was about educating people to use that technology. So if you imagine a nurse who's been in the NHS for 20 years and she's always done everything by emailing or just, using our online systems, to automatically now have to learn how to use our video conferencing platform or to use our remote telephone interpreting. It was a case of educating them. So it wasn't so much about the technology that we had to build, but rather training people to use it. And I think that has been fantastic. Now we have kind of seen a whole shift, a culture shift in behaviors that I don't think will ever return back to the normal behaviors that were there 12 months ago. So that, I think, is that silver lining that we have, especially in the public sector, seen that kind of digital migration. And I think that can only be a good thing. And for us, what we did was support all those staff and those clinicians to be able to do that. So we kind of became almost like a bit of a training company as well, in terms of training people to kind of use Zoom, use Teams, use kind of some of those things that they never needed to use. But it's been for the better in terms of, for our business, being able to promote those systems that were already there, really.
Yeah. Totally agree. I feel like everybody now is a Zoom expert. So I'd like to, look a bit further scale here. So, a couple of you have mentioned over 20 years these businesses have been running for. And I know that there's always a lot of focus on the pandemic and recently, but really, the fact that you've been around for as long as you have is testament to, how robust your business is. And there's a lot of people in the audience today who, might be embarking on their kind of technology career or small business career, or their studies. And I'd just really like to hear from you as to what has been the biggest learning curve since launching the business and or taking it over. Kavita, I'll go back to you first.
I don't think that there's just been one learning curve. I think there's been quite a few, if I'm honest. And every step of our business where we've kind of changed or wanted to grow has meant that we've learned something new along the way. But if there's one thing that has really been the bedrock of our business, has been our people. And so it's been really, really important that we have the right people in our business with the right attitudes, and that we've got a culture of growth. So people who've come into our business, we've invested in. We don't just recruit for them to be just another number. It's about how do they want to grow. And I think in terms of why our business has been successful has been because we invest in our people, not just our technology. So I think that if people have the ambition to grow, to develop, to try new things, there are so many. And I think this is, what I'm saying is not just restricted to our business. Any of our colleagues and other companies who we are associated with have that same outlook. It is about having those right people with the right ambition to grow and develop. And right now, it is a fantastic time to be wanting to start a career or to get into, to find employment, because there's so many opportunities out there which sort of 12 months ago probably weren't there, especially in the tech industry. We are recruiting sort of monthly new roles. We've got sort of 4 roles right now that we're recruiting for, mid-level developers, project managers, scrum masters. We're looking for all of these people. So I think that if somebody is looking out for a new position, there definitely is opportunity out there. So yeah, and there's a lot of schools and colleges and universities who are sending out good developers. I mean, we've worked with the School of Code, we've worked with different universities as well. So I think there's a lot of collaboration going on with different education sectors as well. And there's a lot of businesses collaborating with the education industry as well. So I think that with that, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah, I think that's great, and hopefully you get some applications your way following today, because I know that there's so much talent, in the Midlands and beyond, and that's so nice to hear that, post-pandemic there are opportunities, especially in the tech space. Brian, I will come to you next.
Okay, well, firstly, I wholeheartedly agree with Kavita and what she had to say, but I think for me, one of the things I sort of learnt over the years was to go with your gut feeling and make decisions. If you think it's the right decision, go. And you normally find that, if you know your business, 95% of the time, your decision is correct. And the other 5% doesn't matter anyway. It's not going to ruin your business. And, don't beat yourself up. If something goes wrong, pick yourself up the next day and move forwards. Just got to keep moving forwards.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Trust your gut. It proves to be right in all decisions that we make. Guy, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, another nod for people and culture, and I think it's core to any business who wants to grow. You need your people to want to go on the journey with you. So that's important. Similarly, we look at our clients as well, and we try not to be a supplier. We try and be a partner to our clients, and I think if you position yourself like that, that's been partly key to our growth. I think for me though, the biggest one, that if there's any kind of people who are kind of owner founders and they're starting from scratch out there, that the hardest thing for me, or the barrier that I made in my own mind that stopped us probably growing initially, was around kind of attitude to money. So kind of there's a cliche, you should only hire people who spend the company's money as if it's their own money. And you know what, that's great advice. People who really think about where every pound is spent and are very precious about, because a pound on you that isn't spent is a pound still on your bottom line, right? But there's a paradox. For the owner, you've got to put your mindset 180 degrees away from that. You mustn't think of the business's money as your own money, because you won't spend it. So, the temptation as you're growing, when the first time you do a trade show, and it's somewhere between 20 grand and 40 grand, and you're thinking, hang on, that's my dream holiday in Mauritius, or hang on, that's the car I've got my eye on. To actually think that, no, this isn't my money, this is the business's money, is a real mindset shift. And I think only when you've made that shift have we been really able to grow. So that was a big learning curve for me at the beginning. And anyone who's kind of starting as a lifestyle business, you'll always be a lifestyle business, and you'll never make the leap to scale a business unless you can change your mindset about the money in it.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. So now I want to turn to how we know one another, which is the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses UK program. It would be great to hear about your experience of the program, and what advice you would give to entrepreneurs across the West Midlands who might be, they might have a small business of their own and they might be considering applying. Guy, should we go to you first?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I did it 6 or 7 years ago. I'm sure it's evolved a lot since then. I know it moved to kind of a more national delivery model and more elements online, which I'm a great advocate of. But actually, the thing which you're talking about, that mindset shift, be careful how quickly you say that, was very linked, I think, to me going through the program. So that was a big thing it gave me. But the alumni network and the peer group support that I got from it was something I really took away. It's a very lonely job being, a founder, and just being in a group of people, who also are for the first time ever trying to understand how you do, your VAT return, or have the first time you have a internal staff issue. So actually to have people who, are sharing that experience, that you can have an honest conversation with in a safe place, was incredibly valuable for me at the time we did it. And I said up front, I don't think, I think you can draw a line in my company's growth before I did that program and after it, and the line definitely accelerates it. So if you're ambitious, you've got nothing to lose, I would encourage people to sign up. Just investing the time that you have to invest to look out the window and do the kind of the academic side of it, it really is. It feels like a luxury in many ways. It is, but it's a luxury that has paid huge dividends for me.
Thank you so much, Guy. Brian?
I think I went on the course because I'd probably got to, a time in my career that I'm thinking, what am I going to do next, and what am I going to do with the business? And when I went on the course, I actually found it probably re-enthused me in my business, and I came back full of ideas. And I also realised that everyone's got the same problems. I think Guy touched on it earlier. They've all got problems with some staff or some funding, or how they're going to get some money out the bank or whatever. So everybody's got the same problems, but I think you meet a group of people, and there's some amazing people with amazing businesses, and there's some other people that probably just fell out of love with their business and they're trying to find out where to go next and don't know where to go. But I think for me, at the end of the course, I really found that I had got a business because I took time out, and I didn't need to be at work, and nobody hardly ever rang me. I began to think I'd made myself redundant. So it was great for me, and I felt like I was just in this helicopter looking down on my business and looking at all the different parts of it. And I still don't understand every part of my business, and I'm still struggling with EBITDA, but I understand a lot more now, and I've come back and enthused. And everybody gets excited at work when you come back and you talk to them and you involve them in the projects. If you've got a chance to go on this course, you've got to sign up and go for it. And as Guy said, you've got nothing to lose.
That's great. It's so nice to hear that. And Kavita, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest takeaway for me was the people, the network, the people, the sharing of ideas. Without a doubt, it's amazing how siloed you are in your office. You think you're solving the problems, and you're solving them with the limited knowledge that you have. You step into a cohort of people who are like-minded, just as ambitious as you are, and you're like, oh, that's a problem that I've got as well. And immediately you've got 5 other people in the room who've had the same problem, and they've solved it in a different way. So it really, exactly as Guy and Brian have said, it enthused you to kind of think, yeah, I can do this. And it stopped you to think, I can push it as far as I want it to go. There's no barriers, and it's making you think differently about your business and giving you the knowledge and the strength to be able to go away and do that, because you had a team behind you. Now you've got that network of people who, if things aren't going quite right, you send them. I mean, we've got a WhatsApp group now of all the people in our cohort who, if we have a problem, it's like, oh my God, we've got this problem, what do I do? And you wouldn't have had that before. And so, yeah, definitely, I think my takeaway is you've got to do it, because the people, the learning, even if you take away 10%, it makes a big difference to your business.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I totally echo that. Sometimes you have to step completely away to be able to really drill yourself back in. So that's great advice. I have one more question for all of you, and then we will wrap. And that question is, what's coming next for you and your businesses? I can't believe it's nearly, or it feels like the year is ending imminently. For the year ahead, from a technology and kind of digitization perspective, but more broadly, what's top of mind for you in terms of what you want to achieve, where you want to go, and what else you think your business can bring to the table? Kavita, I'll start with you.
I think technology is now really the core part. We were a language company, now we're a tech company. As so many people tell us, we're a tech-enabled language company, and it is absolutely the future of where our business is going. So for us, we're looking to invest more into our technologies. We're looking at entering into new markets. And so for us, we're looking at rapid growth over the next sort of 3 to 5 years, just around technology. And so I think we're in a really good space right now, and I think that the next 3 to 5 years are going to be pretty exciting.
I'm excited for you. Guy?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, post-pandemic world, the genie's at the bottle on digital transformation is going to be a huge driver for our growth. So my challenge is, scaling up and beginning to even begin to meet what feels like infinite demand for the type of stuff we do without ruining the culture. So we can only recruit so quickly. What we do is quite niche, and that scaling up safely is kind of top of my mind. We see most of our growth is actually coming from outside the UK. We're more than 70% of our business is probably North America. So we'll have a big focus on there, but our commitment is that the factory, if you like, is going to be here in Birmingham. So trying to bring more and more people to create the jobs that most of the people behind me are doing aren't anything anybody went to university expecting to do. They're new jobs. We're going to have to do the training in that. So yeah, my challenge is growing at scale safely.
That's great, thank you. And I look forward to hearing about your Tampa office as well. I've got a lot of family in Tampa and it's amazing. So that's an exciting second location, hard second to Birmingham. And Brian?
Well, I think we've got a lot of our technology already in place now in the business. So I think it's a case of ensuring that we're using it all to its full potential, and also ensuring that all our staff are fully trained up on all the systems that we use. But obviously, as a company, we're introducing new technology in the fact that we're now doing electric vehicles. So we're going to be spending a lot of time, I feel, focusing on that part of the market to try and ensure that I achieve my business growth plans that obviously I formed when I was on the course at Goldman Sachs. So we've got a lot of growth expected. We're already doing growth this year, and we're entering a new marketplace. So we're going to focus a lot of our enthusiasm and our time and effort in that marketplace.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I bet you when you founded your company all those years ago, you never thought you'd be moving into the electric vehicle space.
Certainly didn't know.
That's great. That's great. And, thank you all for the insight that you've shared. I think what I really bring out of this is it doesn't really matter how long you've had a business for or what your business is. Your goals, your struggles, and ultimately your success lies amongst the same core principles, which is definitely, people and culture, technology and innovation, and just adapting to, what we all face. So I wanted to really sincerely thank you all for your time today, for being so open and honest about your experiences. There's a lot of people who will be watching, super inspired by what you have all achieved. I hope everybody really enjoys the rest of Birmingham Tech Week. For anybody interested, please check out the new Birmingham office and any Goldman job offerings in Birmingham. Have a Google of 10,000 Small Businesses UK if you know anyone who might want to join our program, and stay in touch. And just thank you all again for your time today. I've really enjoyed hearing your perspectives.
Thank you.